All right, so lunchtime on day 4, Australia extend their lead now to 374. That was the most economical session we've had in this test match. India have done their bit, so we'll see how far ahead Australia really are and whether we could still expect something dramatic from this test in the ICC World Test Championship final. This is ESPNcricinfo Match Day powered by Adidas. It's a very good evening to Sanjay Manjrekar, and we will also hear shortly from Brad Haddin. But give me your thoughts on that session. It looked like run making was hard work.
Yes, and full credit to the Indian bowling. I thought they were very realistic about where they stand in the test match. We saw lines outside the off stump. We saw Mohammad Shami become a sort of a steady bowler, somebody concerned about not leaking too many runs, the best economy rate. Jadeja, the value of having a spinner at Oval, you can see the potential with it, and how the world plays spin too, so that all came into play. So all in all, I think Rahul Dravid will be saying, well done, boys, within the constraints. They did really well.
Yeah, given that Australia started this day well in front, Brad Haddin, 296 the lead, that they've got 78 in that session at about 3 and over. How do you sense they'd be feeling about this?
I think Australia are very comfortable with where they stand in the test match. But what we've seen today was some high-quality test cricket. I thought the partnership in the bowling was outstanding. They bowled really well together. I thought Jadeja went after the rough, made life uncomfortable for the left-handers. Mohammad Shami was once again very economical, and Yadav was good as well. So it was some very high-quality test cricket.
All right, fair enough. Tough test cricket. It seemed like a tough innings for Marnus Labuschagne as well. 41 of 126, the first wicket to fall this morning or this afternoon. Now, Brad, Labuschagne's not looked like it's been fluent or in control. How do you eventually sum up that innings and that dismissal?
I think that if you have a look at the dismissal, he just got a little bit lazy in his front foot. He's got his pre-movement where he goes back and across, but he just didn't take that second step and cover the line of the ball and just played with his hands. And in the end, it was a very good catch at first slip. But times were tough for Marnus. The one thing he did do, he gutsed it, he got through. And Australia had the luxury of not having to score too many runs because they're so far in front of the game. But he was done over by some quality fast bowling this morning.
So Brad, just want to ask you about Labuschagne. Has he always batted like this? Because clearly standing outside the batting crease, there's that trigger movement that doesn't take him inside the batting crease, just around the line, and then he wants to get forward. Has that been his technique right through, playing in England, for example?
Yeah, I think what he's trying to do there is he's just trying to take LBW out of the equation. Another thing also, if you have a look at the popping crease, there's a lot of worn holes there. I think he could have also been trying to get away from that, but I have seen him in county cricket use his tactic quite a lot to get out at the bowlers and take LB out of the game. But what you got to remember here, you got 3 high-class fast bowlers, so they found the edge today.
So he would change his technique, right? It's not something that he'll do every game.
No, it's not. It would just be on conditions. And with the way the ball was moving around, he wanted to get out and take LB out of the equation. The one thing Marnus does do really well is leave off length. And with going a little bit further out of his crease, he could leave off length. And it's just a tactic, I think, just for this wicket. And I think you might see it a lot, actually, during the Ashes when he's facing guys like Jimmy Anderson and Ollie Robinson.
Brad makes a very interesting point, and I remember my playing days in England where he's saying that to avoid that the rough that you get, we talk about the bowler creating the rough, but there is a rough that batters create. Sure. And during our time, I remember Graham Gooch used to be very sort of fussed about where is Lexter Mark, or some people do it out of habit. So eventually there would be a kind of a dent there. Yeah. And your stance is so important. So if you stood there, so very often your toes would be sort of going down, and your balance would go like this. If you go back, you're standing outside the leg stump. So sometimes you have to work around that area and not be exactly where you want to be. So that's a little nuance that I just remembered, and it's a good thing Brad pointed that out, because that is something you get a lot in England before it gets filled up.
So your only remedy to that is standing further down and not moving within. You can't change your guard then and stand.
Exactly.
So either, you stand further down.
Yeah. And then hopefully, during the session, they sort of layer it out and make it even, because that can be actually quite irksome.
Very good. Umesh Yadav, 2 wickets, his first 2 in the test match. Yes, Brad, you'll get some of these from Sanjay every now and then.
Outstanding.
Umesh Yadav would be very happy with the wickets. He is the man under the in the fire, you'd think, with the selection call with Ashwin. But the wicket of Khwaja yesterday, and a good one for Labuschagne, a set Labuschagne.
Yes, one of the fullest ball that he bowled we saw on the pitch map. But having said that, all these guys have changed character in the second innings. Mohammad Shami is not trying to blast batters out. Siraj is the only one who's coming in with that same spirit that you expect. Umesh Yadav too, just bowling in the channel. And I thought he bowled well. He's got that natural seam action too. So yeah, within the limits and the kind of pressure they're facing, the bowlers have done really well. But Umesh Yadav, Shardul has hardly bowled. So India now realizing 4 seamers a bit too much. Jadeja has bowled the most overs, I think 18. Yeah. Most with another seam bowler. So I think
yes, 18 for Jadeja and Siraj.
On day 3. And it's a 5-day test match. So India will be once again thinking, we picked a bowling attack for day 1.
All right, fair enough. Let's just talk about the Cam Green innings, shall we, Brett? Because you felt like, well, this is the license and the situation of the game allows Cam Green to come and just blaze away. Now, is that down to Cam Green deciding to play a different way? Even the dismissal in some ways seems to have us wondering what Cam Green could have done anything on that.
Yeah, it was an interesting innings. I think one thing we've got to remember with Cam Green, he's learning on the job. He's still very young to test cricket, but today he had an opportunity to really take the game on. He plays his best when he's looking to score runs, and with Australia being so far in front of the game, he only had to get a couple away and push that total up to 400 as quick as they can, and probably then you play India out of the game. But his Australian innings, a lot of it's got to go. A lot has got to go to India also. The way they shut him down, but I thought he could have been a little bit more proactive and try to move the game, especially how far Australia are in front of the game.
He's quite right. He is a young player learning on the job. I wonder whether that first innings dismissal, the way he got out early in the innings, playing somewhat, not a loose shot, but a little sort of freedom in the way he played. So maybe young man thinking this is test cricket, the ultimate test. I'm going to go out there and bat like a proper test batter. And he's got a wonderful defense. We've seen that. So he's got the fundamentals and he put that to good use. But clearly he will also know that he was just a bit too defensive. Just one way, blocking and everything was off the front foot. Wasn't looking to score square of the pitch. But young man just sort of maybe reacting to what happened in the first inning. And that's the effect of T20 cricket as well. The other effect, the extreme change that sometimes you're likely to make after having such a been such a brilliant player.
Yeah, it was a long innings as well. I mean, he faced 95 balls. I'm just thinking, Brad, how important it would have been for who he was batting with to sort of help him and decide how he should be playing. He batted a long time with Labuschagne, then with Alex Carey. Just wonder if they had a role to play in helping Cam Green understand what gears to play.
Yeah, the one thing we've seen a lot from him, he's a quick learner, Cameron Green. So he'll be his harshest critic. He'll go away and have a look at the way he played. And there's 2 ways to look at it also. He was probably trying to bat in his head as long as he can and play India right out of the game and take some time away from the game. But he's naturally an aggressive player. As you said, he faced 90 balls. And maybe with Jadeja bowling into that rough, he maybe could have taken a few more risks and tried to move the game a little bit quicker.
Yeah, very good from Jadeja though. Left arm over. Ravi Shastri's called that as well, that for the right-hander also it may be a threatening sort of line of attack.
Yeah, that is why Jadeja is handy as a lone spinner, and we said that before the match as well, that he's not somebody who will only trouble the right-handers. Ashwin, there is disparity in his record versus right-handers and left-handers. Jadeja, very close, his strike rate, average. And this is what he does. Against left-handers, there's that rough. There was one ball that pitched in the rough to Alex Carey, so that rough is coming into play. And this is something he doesn't do too much, bowling to the right-hander into the rough. And that would motivate him to do more, that wicket of Cameron Green. But Jadeja is handy. Once the pitch gets a little dry, there's always a rough, always handy to be a spinner in test match cricket.
Ever gotten out like that though? Trying to just pad away to a left arm over and he hits the glove and goes on. It looks like a It's not a proud way to get up for a big, strong hitter on the ball.
I don't remember getting out, but I remember an Oval Test match in 1990. Does 1990 seem too far away? Or
No, it's okay. I was born that year, so it's not so bad.
Because I remember playing against England 1990, and there were some interesting things that happened. We were completely on the mat playing for a draw, and Hirwani may have bowled 53 or 55 overs unchanged. Didn't get a break, just bowled non-stop with obviously the sessions in the middle, and he was bowling in the rough. And Graham Gooch was trying to just sort of go on the back foot, and he had this square on, sort of looking at the bowler, and just guarded his stumps, offering nothing. He would let the ball come and hit his pad, and everything that would happen, he would check his body whether it's in line with the stumps. It was amazing how he countered that. So, seen this happen before.
Excellent. Let me go to Brad to see if he remembers dismissal like this from something after the Stone Age. Brad?
Yeah, I actually have a really embarrassing one that I remember facing Murali in a one-day game, and he's gone around the wicket, and I went to just kick the ball away, and the next thing I know, I heard a clunk hitting my leg stump. He'd bowled a doozer around my legs, so I walked off bamboozled and walked past Murali. Well done, you were too good for me.
Yeah, but that's like unfair advantage taken by the bowler, isn't bowling in the rough.
Get
us out from the even.
That to Murali of all people. Yeah. Anyway, as if there was any more advantage he needed.
Yeah.
All right. In all seriousness, though, there is a rough developing. And is this the kind of rough that could interest Nathan Lyon, or is this away from the danger area for India's predominantly right-handed batting lineup?
I'm thinking...
Would you like me to ask that question to Brad while you think?
Yeah, by the time I visualize it, it might be a good thing to go.
Why don't you visualize it? Brad, is this going to be interesting for Nathan Lyon, the sort of rough developing?
Yeah, he'll come into when he's bowling to the left-handers, but I think the big thing for Nathan Lyon, he needs Mitchell Starc to bowl a lot of overs in the first hour and get a bit of rough there so he can come into play with the right-handers. But if there's any rough there, you know Nathan Lyon, the one of his biggest strength is his bounce. So if he can get a little bit inconsistent bounce out of that rough, he'll cause some trouble for the left-handers.
It's one of the reasons.
It's a delight to have Brad Haddin. You know, he helps me so much in understanding the game. Now I have that visual. India didn't have a left-arm seamer. Obviously, they would not. It wasn't played, so then Nathan Lyon would get a rough outside off. So there's no rough at the moment outside off for Nathan Lyon. So no rough until Mitchell Starc creates one.
Very well. Let's just get some final comments now, shall we? 3-7 for the lead. Now, are Australia just going to carry on in normal test match gear and mode, Brad? Or are they going to say, now it's the time we start thinking of how many overs do we need to ensure we pick up 10 Indian wickets? The surface does seem like wicket taking isn't coming in groups or in clusters.
Yeah, I think we'll see Australia being really proactive. I think the one thing, Alex Carey, there was definitely a change in his approach to the game when Mitchell Starc came in. He looked to score a lot more, and that's when the scoreboard started to tick. So they'll be trying their very best to keep this game moving forward. I think Mitchell Starc, I think his best form of defence here is attack. So I think if Jadeja's on, he's not going to give him the luxury of just padding away out of that rough in this session. I think he'll take the game on.
Sanjay?
Remember the sweep shots that he played in India? He played that a lot. In fact, he was one of the first guys who was very successful in the way he played the sweep shot. That prompted all the other Australian batters, if you remember, in Delhi to play the sweep shot, and they lost the test match. I think they'll play a little more purposefully now. I think they'll up the run rate a little bit. But, you know, looking at the pitch today, there was just one ball that reared up. And I'm getting the feeling the pitch is definitely easing up. The bounce is dying. But you're seeing similar bowlers from India again. You're of same height, same speed. And when the Australian bowlers come in, we'll see whether they can get a little more. I'm sure they won't get as much as they got in the first inning, but they are likely to get a little more than the Indian seamers did. So that might give them the confidence of batting a little longer.
Good session for Rohit Sharma, the captain, who seems to have improved on the job as well. We were critical of how he let the game sort of roll in the first innings.
It's like spreading the butter thin, which you should learn, Raunak, spreading the butter thin.
You can teach me.
So he spread the quality better today. He spread it thin. Started off with Umesh Yadav and Mohammad Shami, which meant that there was quality, good quality from one end, decent quality from the other. Then he went to Siraj. There was Jadeja, and Shardul Thakur was the last bowler that he went to. So that was the correct order. So there was pressure maintained right through. If you remember the first session, there was a heavy dose of Shami and Siraj, and suddenly there was Umesh Yadav and Shardul Thakur and no Jadeja. So definite learning from the first innings.
I'm also quite happy that Brad's with us today for obvious reasons.
To spread the quality.
Spread the quality, yeah, spread the butter.
Not
in all
so
seriousness, a big session, you think, for Rohit Sharma and India, Brad, even if they are to entertain the improbable that, yeah, we could still chase, 400 odd. Australia get 100 quick runs here, 470, 500, that seems out of question. How do you see India sort of managing both situations, assuming Australia will be proactive?
Yeah, well, the first thing India need to do, they need to get these first 4 wickets as quick as they can. And I think the one thing with chasing a big total, if Australia, for example, get bowled at around 400, that's not the scary mark it used to be. And if India can start well with the bat, get through that new ball, I think that's stating the obvious, but I think that's where the inconsistent bounce will be at the most dangerous with that new ball. I think if they can get through that unscathed, and all of a sudden then put a bit of pressure back on the Australian bowlers, especially with how quick this outfield is, anything can still happen.
All right, big session then. Just to make sure Australia consolidate their dominance in this test match, or whether they give India and the neutrals watching something to possibly look forward to as far as the contest goes in the last few days. Thank you to Sanjay Manjrekar as well as Brad Haddin. It's lovely to have him back. How was your day off, Brad? Enjoyed yourself last evening, I hope?
Hey, it was a good day. I had to go do an event for my daughter's school, so
lovely.
Yeah, get back. It was lovely, actually.
And did you?
I was still watching the cricket on my phone, so you guys are outstanding without me.
Oh, Brad, you're too good, Brad. Yeah, all right. And I hope you stayed up till 3 a.m. anyways. Cycle's probably that way.
Still there.
All right, plenty more from Bradley Haddin as well as Sanjay Manjrekar at tea time on day 4 to see where this game stands on ESPNcricinfo Match Day, powered by Adidas. Download the mobile app to have you covered and everything from the world of cricket. You head to the App Store and Play Store and get it if you haven't already. Big session coming up. Australia is still very much in front. Let's see if it stays that way at tea time.
जिस पे नाम सिर्फ एक का हो,
लेकिन हो पूरे देश के नाम।
उस चीज को हाउ डू आई डिस्क्राइब इट? इस जर्सी के लिए मेरे फीलिंग समझाना इम्पॉसिबल है,
पर इसे पहन के
I feel just one thing, impossible
इज नथिंग।